Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth and today I wanted to show you a few of my new titles from one of my absolute favorite publishers, and that is NoBrow Press / Flying Eye Books. They are two sides of the same coin. Flying Eye Books is the children's title section and NoBrow Press is the graphic novels and more adult types of books. They are all illustrated, they are all graphic, they are all wonderful. And one of the best things about them is that they are all very accessible. So if a young child picks up a book from the NoBrow section, I wouldn't be terrified by it as opposed to some of the other types of graphic novels that are out there. And if an older child or adult picks up one of the Flying Eye books, they will be absolutely enchanted by the story and pictures therein. So let me get started showing you what I've got. Okay, so I have 3 Flying Eye books to show you and then one from NoBrow Press. So let me get started with the Flying Eye books. First, I have Wild by Emily Hughes. This is the story of a little girl who somehow comes to live in the forest and is raised by the animals therein. Nobody knows how she came to be there, but the forest takes her in. Birds teach her how to speak. Bear teaches her how to eat. Fox teaches her how to play. And she just loves it there. She understands and she is happy. And one day she meets some new animals and they decide, let's see if I can get that in frame. They decide to take her home with them and try to teach her how to be a human like she is supposed to be. They find her strange and she finds them strange too, and it says that they did everything wrong. They speak wrong, they eat wrong, they play wrong, and she does not understand. She is not happy, and so she leaves. And the end of the book says, everyone remembered how she left and all knew it was right. You cannot tame something so happily wild. And there are the end papers. And this is just a very quirky and fun book. And after having the discussion with my daughter that you really shouldn't destroy the house and then run naked through the streets, um, we talked about how this little girl loved where she was so very much and wanted to stay there. And sometimes it is okay to love something that much and want to stay there or want to keep doing it, like loving reading. Don't let anyone stop you from reading. um, Things like that. If you have friends that you like and nobody else likes, well, maybe they just need to get to know your friends and you don't have to stop being friends with them. Things like that. My daughter's only 3, so we're going to have that talk again, but this was a good kind of um, door opening book for that kind of chat. And when Tucker Stone, who is the most amazing liaison for NoBrow and Flying Eye Books, when he sent me that, he sent me a galley for Marcel by Ida Hackleton. I think that's how you say that name. There you go. This book is entirely different in its illustrations, and that is because I believe the author is also the illustrator for most of their books. And whereas Wild is done in this really bright and quirky style by Emily Hughes, Marcel is done in all grays. And this is the story of a dog who lives in New York with his human, and he thinks that they're absolutely perfect just the way they are. And then one day, a new human enters the picture, and all of a sudden, they're going places they don't normally go. And they are going places he's not used to. They're changing up their schedule, and he doesn't like it. Um, and his human doesn't seem to understand, and he doesn't like it. There's something different. And then all of a sudden, he kind of gets used to the new human and says, you know what, maybe there's room for another human in my life. I could get used to this. So, this is a great book, I think, for anyone who has a child that is having to get used to their parent or aunt, uncle, big brother, sister having a new boyfriend or girlfriend, or a new step parent or step sibling, or a new baby coming home, or, new neighbors moving in, something where there is someone new coming into your life. I think that this book is kind of a great way to have a bonding experience with that child and show that maybe a new person isn't all that bad. And as an added bonus, not only is it adorable, but my dog really liked this book. He thought it was great. So, if Bear likes it, there's got to be something good about it, right? All right. The final Flying Eye book that I have is Owen Davies' Mad About Monkeys. Um, this is a nonfiction book all about, you guessed it, monkeys. So it starts out with what are monkeys, and then it talks a little bit about the idea that are we evolved from monkeys, but no, we don't evolve from monkeys. We are just part of the same um, wider group of mammals called primates. And then it gives you the family tree. It talks about old world and new world monkeys, the different types of tails and how they do social life, and large and small and weird and wonderful. And I want to take a second here to point out the difference in illustration again. Each book and each author is able to illustrate the story so that you can feel the type of book you're getting into before you actually get into it, which I think is really special in a day and age where we're getting more into the computerized art and everything kind of feels the same. While some of this is most likely computerized, you can definitely tell a difference between Wild and Marcel and Wild About Monkeys. And the other thing is that this was originally published in 2013 in the hardbound, and you can tell that their hardbound editions um, have this really nice separate binding that kind of shows off the title. And their picture books are usually cloth on the edge, so they have very high quality books from Flying Eye Press. And finally, we have our NoBrow Books book, and this is 101 Artists to Listen to Before You Die by Ricardo Cavallo, who is one of Spain's most renowned artists at the moment. And this book was published in 2015. This is a second edition, and I don't think that they've changed anything. It's just been republished in 2016, so it's the second edition of this book, and it was translated by Sophie Hughes into English for us. And basically, what this is a diary of sorts where he goes through with 101 different artists that have touched his life in some way and affected his art or just his everyday life in general. And he starts with Johann Sebastian Bach. So there is Bach's page, and they're all a page and the piece of art that goes with it. So he starts out saying, I discovered the virtues of classical music through Bach. I remember spending endless afternoons as a young boy drawing side by side with my father, etc., etc. And so you get to know a little bit more about this famous artist, along with seeing more of his art and learning a little bit about these different artists and how they affected him. And it made me rethink some of my ideas about the music that I listened to. It made me look at some of my beloved musicians like Frank Sinatra in a little bit of a different light. He said that um, I need to fill my immediate environment with elegance and class every now and then, and this gentleman does it in seconds. Um, and I feel the same way about Frank Sinatra, but when I think Frank, the first thing I see is not elegance and class. It's not even the unique voice. I feel the music more than hear his voice to begin with. And so I feel more of kind of a classic, jazzy, retro, smoky blue lights going crawling across the floor like fog, just filling my brain. And then the elegance and class can come forward. But it's kind of a happy, brain numbing, getting everything in order feeling as opposed to elegance and class. So it really lets you see how somebody else feels about things that you've listened to and loved. And then there's some like The Prodigy that I never thought about. I don't think I've ever listened to them. There's also things about the Rolling Stones, the Kinks, the Zombies, the Mummies, Sepultura, Crisscross, Cypress Hill, which I was really amazed to see in here, by the way. It says, now we get to a group that has a place in my top 5 of all time. Cypress Hill led me to the next level rap. They made it magical, universal, infernal, and vital. I recognize that the fact that I began to smoke a certain substance, illegal in some countries and legal in others, had something to do with me getting into these rappers. Um, yeah, so that's something very interesting to kind of learn about the artist and to see there. Um, the Smashing Pumpkins is in here. The Beatles are in here. Kanye West is in here. Old Crow's Medicine Show is in here. Black Lips, Amy Winehouse, Crystal Castles. It's just Diplo. It's just absolutely amazing. And it's all done in this hand lettered artwork there for us, which is beautiful. And it is definitely a unique book to have on my shelf. And I definitely think that if you enjoy music, if you enjoy learning about people reading memoirs, and if you just like to see things that you love talked about kind of in a different perspective, you should pick this book up. In fact, you should pick up all the books. Get all the books. Just go to NoBrow and Flying Eye Books and get them all. They're all fabulous. Get all the books. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. Don't forget to comment if you've got anything to say. Give me a big thumbs up if you like the video and subscribe if you're new. Bye.